Hey, what's up you guys, it's Dorothy and welcome back to my channel. In today's video we're going to go into chapter 16 of the game by Lindsay Miller, so I hope that you guys are ready for this video. This video may contain sensitive topics and foul language. If you do not wish to continue, I suggest you click off now. Sorry, after I film so many videos in a row, I start to get congested because I have been sick on and off for the last few weeks. But anyways, let's get right into this video. Excuse me. Chapter 16. We should celebrate, Ben said in their group chat that night. He'd been thrilled by the message that Peter was taken out. It was another $10 for Abby's shelter and a bit of revenge for having him be taken out. We have exams coming up, Jim reminded them. If we party at my house, May will be there. We'll be here, Ben said. Jim's reply was instant. We should celebrate. We're second semester seniors. My parents will be out of town Saturday night. We should party, Ben said. When you say party, what do you mean exactly? Devin asked. Parties were not really Leah's thing, or she suspected Devin's. Junk food, games, and whatever else we feel like, Ben said. No one can stay past midnight and no one can get messed up. If anyone does, May and I lose guest house privileges. Everyone was cool with those rules. Good. Get there whenever after 5, Ben said. Bring anything you want, but I'll get pizza and drinks. Also, if you got any games you want to play, bring them. By the time Leah cleared it with her parents, she told them it was a study group over dinner. Jim had sent back one message just to her: guest house privileges. It was hard to miss that Ben's family had money. His parents did tech stuff, giving them enough to live in Chenoo. The neighborhood was newer than its name implied, and the houses were a hodgepodge of McMansions and geometric modern things. Ben's house was one of those modern homes that looked like an Escher painting if you stared too long. Jim picked up Devin already in the back, and Leah slid into the seat next to him. He was wearing what he always wore, though he picked at the hem of his sweater in a way Leah had never seen. Jim wore a pair of faux leather bike shorts and their mom's old University of Arkansas sweatshirt. Leah pulled her jacket tighter around her plain shirt. May is going to be there for a little while, Jim said instead of greeting her. Leah glanced at Devin. Jim has been planning their first date with May for a while now. It's not a date, muttered Jim, checking their reflection in the rearview mirror. Yet. Good luck. Devin smiled at them in the rearview mirror. You look really good. Leah patted Jim's shoulder. When the group arrived at Ben's house, Jim looked in the mirror once and nodded. Devin jumped out and held the door open. Leah and Devin walked to the door a few steps behind Jim, who knocked with a shaking hand. May opened the door. Ben, your murder friends are here, she shouted up at the stairs behind her. She leaned on the door with one arm stretched out to the top of it, all 6 feet of her taking up the whole entranceway. She looked like some flirtatious knight who could kick your butt or carry it over the threshold. She tapped her fingers against the frame. I hear you're doing well. Yeah, Jim said. We've gotten 2 people. Nice, May said. Devin leaned down and whispered in Leah's ear. You look good, by the way. Thank you, Leah whispered back. His lips brushed her ear as if he were about to say something else. Yes, Ben thundered down the stairs and skidded across the floor. He bowed over one arm and gestured deeper into the house. After y'all, they stepped inside. May shut and locked the door behind them. Ben and May's parents were rich in a way that made Leah's stomach hurt. The house had to have 5 bedrooms, and she was sure the kitchen that Ben led them through was bigger than she'd ever seen. The 5 of them wandered out into the large backyard. Ben pointed to a small house-like shed against the far fence. I've got food, drinks, and enough games to keep us busy for 3 years. Ben said. What do you want to do first? He loves hosting, May whispered in Jim's ear, her hand on their shoulder. He's like an old lady. If he could major in party throwing, he would. Old ladies can do whatever they want, Ben said. It's not an insult. I'll give you my grandmother's recipe for ambrosia salad, and then you'll be halfway to full old ladyhood, offered Leah. Ben clapped her on the shoulder slightly too hard. I'll be unstoppable at potlucks. God help us if you figure out how to make dollies. Jim laughed. I'm good with playing Smash and eating. What are you doing tonight? I could eat, said May, eyes never leaving Jim. And if any of you lose to Ben, I'm kicking you out. Devin snorted. Should I leave now then? No, I'll teach you, Leah said, after I win a few times. You two can sneak off later. I'll teach you how to play, Ben said, rubbing his hands together. Come on. The inside of the guest house was one room with a kitchenette and attached bathroom. Leah dropped into an old beanbag and Devin fell onto the couch behind her. May and Jim talked about the gym and other things Leah couldn't quite hear until they all started playing Pictionary, but better, as Ben put it, and Leah didn't have the heart to correct him. Devin was a terrible drawer, but Leah was excellent, and he wrapped one arm around her waist, pulling her up and off the couch to keep her from beating him again. She landed half in his lap, face to his chest, and wrapped his arms around her so that she couldn't move her hands to draw. She laughed into his shoulder. She wasn't used to playing group games. It was nice. Leah knocked Devin's chin with her forehead. Free me. This was so much better. Not a chance, he said. You should have to draw with your toes. It's not fair. His grip loosened during the next round. She leaned across his lap, her head on the arm of the couch and his arms resting on her stomach. She glanced up at him and caught his eyes on her. He looked away. He lost that round too. All right, Devin said. I have to take a break. This is terrible for my ego. Prince is a monster. A little thrill threaded its way through Leah's belly. She was good at this, and she was finally getting to show that off. Devin didn't seem to really mind losing, though. I could use a break, too. Want to walk around? Yes. May slipped from the couch to the floor next to Jim. Finally, someone else can have a shot at winning. Devin shrugged and helped Leah up from the beanbag. They wandered outside into the backyard, their path lit by fairy lights. Devin didn't let go of her hand, the soft tug of his fingers leading her to a lit alcove full of lavender stalks and mums. He sat on a little stone behind Leah, and Leah sat next to him. The cold crept between them. Leah scooted closer to him. Devin curled his arm around her. Okay, he asked. No, she said, and he pulled away. Wait, no, I just mean this would be okay if I weren't so short. They moved from the bench to the grass. She stretched her legs out across the lawn and nestled the back of her head into the crook of his right elbow. Her side was pressed to his warm chest. His legs shook beneath her back. Leah pulled his left arm across her waist. He laid his hand against her side. I like listening to you talk, Devin sighed, his fingers tapping against her hip. You used to talk all the time in class. I got in trouble all the time, too, Leah swallowed. She talked too much when she got started, rambling off facts about going on, tangents no one asked for. She never noticed until midway through a sentence, and then it was too late. Do you really like listening to me? When you talk about things you like, yes. He rubbed the hem of her shirt between his fingers, knuckles grazing bare skin. Physics was the best. You always talked in physics. You know, there's a planet we can't see, but is there, she said slowly, trying to remember something she hadn't talked about in physics. His hand, warm and soft, flattened against her skin beneath her shirt. Her breathing quickened. We only know it's there because everything we can see reacts to it in some way, invisible but consequential. I feel like that sometimes. You have an interesting take on romance, he chuckled. Leah turned her face to look at him. It's true. You never notice me. I always notice you, he said. I hate that you sit behind me in biology. It makes me nervous. What if I do something embarrassing? You'll write it down in that little leather journal. That's my assassin journal. I wouldn't write about you in it. And it's gone away. I left it in Miss Christie's class. It had my email in it and everything, but no one messaged me to return it. Leah's skin was too warm, too tight, and her next words were a whisper. It's my spiral journal where I'll write down all your embarrassing moments. He laughed, and her head bounced against him. His heart pounded through his ribs, a steady beat she could barely hear. Is this supposed to be romantic? She said softly, voice muffled by his sweater. Yes, we're stargazing, he said, tilting his head back to stare at the stars. I wanted to focus on my grades and not date anyone, and I don't know what I'm doing, but school's basically over, and you're going away probably. I wasn't sure what to do, but I knew I wanted to get to know you. So you joined the game. She brought her right hand up to his face and traced a line of the corner of his mouth to his eye. You joined the game to talk to me? He licked his lips. That about sums it up. He shifted beneath her, and Leah sat up. She cupped his face, turning him to face her. Stars filled his dark eyes. You know, I've liked you since 7th grade, right? She asked. What? His fingers pressed into her hip. No, really. Leah nodded. She could feel the stars in him, the promise of future and life. It was heat and tenderness, the way his hand seared without hurting, and he tilted his head to the side. The moonlight struck his skin and glittered like frost on autumn leaves. He had joined to be close to her. He wanted to be close to her, and she wanted to live. Leah leaned in till her mouth was an inch from his. His lips brushed Leah's, but he didn't move closer. She laced her fingers around the back of his neck and pulled his mouth to hers. His breath caught, and his fingers tightened. The kiss carried on until the thundering of their hearts became footsteps heading their way. So, he said, and pulled away. His hand stroked her spine through her shirt. Strategically, we're doing great. Well, your plan succeeded, she said, a coil of thrill tightening in her belly. His plan had been to get closer to her. He didn't want to kill her after all. Well, maybe he did, but gently. Mine is still in the works. You'll win. He laced his fingers with hers and helped her up. I believe in you. As much as she loved the words, they hurt. She couldn't remember the last time someone had. That is the end of that chapter. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.